I'm Dan Drake. This is Front Up on Visitor Network TV. Our guest is Joe Aguiar, who is known to many in the community, but has taken a special interest in affairs of the elderly through the Council on Aging, and as one of the founders and coordinators of the Elder Expo. Welcome, Joe.
Thank you very much.
Nice
I appreciate it a lot.
We were talking before we started taping a little bit about your background, which is very different from what you're doing now in terms of your professional career.
That's very true.
And what was that?
Well, I was a superintendent of schools in Ohio for 30 years and retired to Nantucket to retire. And when I got here, I kind of was a little concerned about, I read in the paper about the schools and asked Superintendent Alan Myers if there was any way I could help, and he asked me if I would be the high school principal and train Paul Richards, which I did. And then when I felt Paul was ready, I left and retired again, I guess, and stayed around for a while working with the elderly and working on some boards with the elderly. And then an opportunity came at the elementary school, basically the same situation. There was somewhat of a turmoil, and I was asked if I would take that. The person really behind the motivation, I guess, was Tim Lepre, who was my family doctor, and was pretty persuasive.
He can be very persuasive.
Yes, he is very persuasive. So I did that, and when I felt it was time and the school was going in the right direction, as I think they all are now, I stepped out again.
When was that?
Let's see, I guess it was about 4 years ago. It got to a point when you're in your mid-70s, it's hard to really be chasing kids who are in 5- and 6-year-olds.
I guess so. I have that problem with my grandchildren.
Right. It was like having 700 grandchildren, so it was difficult.
Wow. So, the Elder Expo, it's coming up soon? This is last year's poster, but tell us a little bit about it.
It's going to be the 7th annual one. It's going to be on September 13th, beginning at 9 in the morning till 11:30 at the high school gymnasium. And
what is the purpose of it?
Well, basically, I think we had two goals at the outset. One is to let elderly people know what services are available to them through the community and through other agencies, either on the Cape or statewide and nationwide. But also, I think the other thing we were trying to show is that elderly citizens 60 and over certainly can live active lives, and we wanted to present them with some
You're a pretty good example of that.
Thank you very much. And we want to present them with some examples of things that they could do. You know, age is chronological, but physically, emotionally, and socially, it doesn't have to be. It's what you want it to be. So I think that was the purpose. And really, a secondary goal was really to kind of let the community know that there are many opportunities in the community for elderly, particularly with restaurants and so forth. And we wanted to pay back for people who have constantly supported us. So a couple of years ago, we came up with the idea of asking the restaurants in town, particularly the ones that are year-round, if they would give discounts for people who are at the expo for lunch, and they agreed. And I think it's good. I think the seniors have to realize they can get out there and do something other than just eating congregate lunch, and there are really very receptive restaurateurs here who are willing to help as well.
Good. How many people do you get?
On an average basis, we get about 200. It's very difficult to determine. We have people who register, and then we have people who don't register. But essentially, I do the research afterwards, and generally we have 200 responses. So we know at least it's 200. It's probably more than that. We have people come in the other door rather than the main door, and go directly to our hearing or memory specialists. But most people come in through the front door.
How do you get many repeats? Many people coming back year after year?
Yeah, we do. I think what draws them certainly is we, in cooperation with the hospital and visiting nurses, have flu shots generally given at that time. And I think that really is a major draw. We get many people come in. And the reason I say that is because if you're not there early, they generally run out of flu shots. And with people coming later and wanting flu shots, we've kind of determined that's sort of the draw. And the hospital has been very cooperative. The visiting nurse associations have been very cooperative. And so that is a draw. And then once people are in there, they usually look for repeat things. There are some things that just they gravitate to. Hearing screening, definitely. Many go for glucose screening, and some come primarily, for hearing screenings and so forth. Not all of them are done there because it's just not enough time, but at least it gives them an opportunity to see that those services are available at a later time if they choose to come. The thing we try to make clear every year, though, it's not a health clinic per se. It's a services and the opportunities to live an active and healthy life, and that's just part of it.
Do you have any groups there recruiting seniors to come work with them? Are you on a volunteer basis?
No, the fire department, police department are always represented in some manner, and I know there are opportunities that are provided for seniors to work for the community, and with some sort of a tax rebate or tax relief. So I guess to some degree those are their recruiting, but essentially as just general recruitment, no. I think it's just to say, these services available. The banks are there, and of course they want customers, and that's fine too. We allow anyone to come in. The only thing we really don't want is people coming in who are selling essentially a direct service. If you take Partners Program, you can do this and so forth.
Which makes sense.
Yeah, it's not that type of a program. But again, we're well represented by many groups in the community, and I think that's what makes it effective.
Who are your sponsors?
Generally, it's we get it through private donations, and the Nantucket Center for Elder Affairs is really the major sponsor. They pick up the tab. By design, the Council on Aging cannot fund things. It's an agency of the Board of Selectmen. But the Nantucket Center for Elder Affairs is like a booster club, and they do fundraising for these types of programs, particularly this one.
Good. What would be the best takeaway from somebody attending this from your point of view?
I think from my point of view, to realize that regardless of your age, there is something physically or health-wise or emotionally or socially that you can do. And if anything, we get them to reconnect with friends whom they haven't seen in years. I think that's probably the greatest thing. Yeah, I think that's the greatest thing to take away, the socialization aspect. The worst thing for seniors is loneliness, and and we being reclusive. And I think that's probably, with all the other outstanding things provided, the best thing that I would like to see them take away from it, the socialization.
That's great. Well, it's a wonderful service you're providing to the community.
Well, thank you.
Joe Aguiar, thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.